benefits to each and every one of these stakeholders. Because particularly for the promoters, what you'd imagine, you have to convince them to be able to be the prime movers of this project. And what can conceivably be the potential benefits for them? Like, for example, in this particular project that we're talking about, some of the promoters were actually the villages right beside the places where the people were going to be moved from. It's like these villages are like valued at something like about 20,000 per square meter. And then you have squatters right across your perimeter fence. I don't think you like that very much. So they were one of the ones that were really motivated to try and help these people so that they can be moved out and, so to speak, they can rest easy. That across their perimeter wall, there are no informal settlers. So these are some of the benefits that actually can sell to them. But more importantly, we used a program called stewardship in our particular case. Kasi not everybody is right beside that particular place. So we called upon a concept called stewardship to try and convince other people who are not directly involved or do not expect to have any material benefit in the exercise. So those were some of the things that we used in order to entice the promoters to be more inviting in this project. For the beneficiaries, the benefits are obvious. New life, new house, hopefully released from the chains of poverty. So these are some of the things that are common sense that would have benefited the beneficiaries and informal settlers you're trying to help our community. It's also important to convince the entire community, those universe of people that you're trying to convince that the project is good. One of the more difficult things that we've had to involve is people who have a negative attitude. I think you've met these kinds of people. Whatever project, whatever good project you're proposing, there will be somebody always na tawag nilang kontrapelo. Somebody who's always looking at the loophole, somebody's always thinking about all the ways that this project cannot push through or cannot succeed. So these are the more harder parts. Kasi these are the people who are always trying to get themselves recognized by being critical of any good project. So you're trying to convince the entire community. Of course, you're trying to get acceptance from everybody. The promoters, you're trying to get acceptance first because they are the sponsors of the project and they have to accept the role and the responsibility that this project will be a success. So you have to gain their acceptance. The beneficiaries, of course, the promise of better lifestyles and get them to accept that this type of giving is not free, because in the exercise of our giving of this housing project to them, they had to stake a lot of sweat equity, we call it. They had to devote time and effort to actually build their houses. So not only build their houses, they would actually try and find ways and means by which to harness resources to help themselves. So, finish with this strategic plan. This one is, team building. Okay. This seems so obvious, no? But actually, when you're dealing with a project, that has no monetary benefits to each and every one of the members. It's hard to motivate people. You know, it's easy to go into a job that pays a regular salary and then work together with other people in the office, be able to achieve something. In most community projects, there's no salary involved. So you're doing this thing for whatever motivation you are. It's definitely not related to monetary returns. So team building becomes an essential part because the promoters have to try to perform their task with minimum of guidance. This is not to say that this is a corporate setting and then you do this, otherwise your boss will get mad. This one is a lot of initiative and resourcefulness. So you're given a task, supposing you're given the role of being a fundraiser, you have to find your way. There's no clear and definite specific exercise by which you can convince other people to try and give money to you. So that's why you need to be actively team building within yourselves so that you can help each other try to achieve your objective. You're also looking for, you're looking for, from the promoters, initiative, resourcefulness, and perseverance. These are the three qualities that you're looking for when you're looking for promoters. So, initiative, because he has to take a lot of, take it upon himself to try to find ways and means to achieve his particular mission. Resourcefulness, because there will be obstacles along the way. From all sorts of obstacles, sometimes legal even. And you have to have a perseverance because these projects usually take very long. They're not short and sweet at all. They take a long time and there will be a lot of obstacles along the way. So on the side of the beneficiaries, what you're looking for in team building these beneficiaries is cooperation and helpfulness. Very important also discipline because these informal setters never really learn to work together. Yeah, if you look through their history and their attitudes, they don't really like their neighbors because all their time spent is trying to get ahead of their particular neighbors. So when they're at home and they want more space, they try to extend their houses beyond the neighbor's perimeter. When they want to dispose of garbage, they'll try to throw it across the perimeter wall of their neighbors. So there are lots of things. If they can steal water from their neighbor, they will do that. If they can steal a little power or electricity from their neighbor, they will try to do that. So, team building these beneficiaries is not at all that easy because they come from an attitude where they want to get always one over the other, especially their neighbor. So that's what you're looking for in terms of building the team within the beneficiaries. Believe me, it's a complete change of lifestyle and attitude. It's trying to erase their previous habits. So you want also diligence because you want them to keep on working and keep on helping themselves, and you want them to focus on the particular project. I'll try and I have a small video on team building. Going to the third part, which is values formation. I did speak a little about this a while ago. I said one of the things, of course, the values formation is mostly on the beneficiary side. And these are the points that we're actually looking for in trying to inject some sort of values into the community. I know these are informal settlers. So there are a lot of bad habits that actually they learn. Not in their perspective, that's not bad habits. It's only in our perspectives, these are bad habits. Like throwing garbage to your neighbor's place is to them not a bad habit. That's a way of life. See, they don't pay for garbage disposal. They don't pay for a garbage truck to come to them so where will they put their garbage to? Try to put it anywhere they can. So in their perspective, that's not really a bad habit to them. That's a way of life. So it's our perspective that that's a bad habit. So we're trying to let them outlearn, or relearn, to go away from that kind of thing. Spirituality in the past. I was mentioning a while ago that there is no really salary in this endeavor. So there's no monetary compensation to help motivate you into being able to try and make this project succeed. So there's a lot of spirituality in this project, because and you have to inject it both in your team members, in your promoters, and also in your beneficiaries, because there's also a lot of hard work and sweat that they have to put into this project. They have to build their own homes, and they have to persevere despite the hardships that they will endure. They're not going to do this because they're getting paid for it, or they're exerting this effort, trying to incur additional transportation expenses for themselves because they have to go to the site and build a house. So it's not an easy thing for them to do as well. And believe me, they've never done this in their life. What they've done in trying to build their houses, their squatter houses, is flimsy cardboard, konting hierro, konting whatever pieces of walls or that they can make in terms of protecting themselves from the elements, they will do. So nothing in the area of really concrete things, rebars, or even decent toilet facilities. You have to inject a lot of spirituality, because also in your promoters, because like I said, there's really no benefit to them except trying to motivate them that this is their God-given task to do. Good community habits are also something that you would like to teach. The level of cleanliness of these squatters is no way near the level of cleanliness. Their concept of cleanliness in their bathrooms is far more stinky to you than you can ever imagine. What they consider as bearable will be completely unbearable to you. You probably would not want to even go into their houses. One, there's no bathroom actually, so they actually try and do these things in a community bathroom, in a common bathing house or CR. If you want to establish some sort of orderliness, they've never known authority unless it's an authority that gives them money. So the authority that you have is just a simple concept that you are coming into this community and you're trying to help them, and they're trying to follow you because you are promising them something in the future. So you're trying to inject some sort of orderliness. Cleanliness and health, of course this is obvious. Like I said, they're not really used to your levels of cleanliness and health. It is something that perhaps if you have a project that requires a bit of hygiene, you better know that their level of hygiene is up to your level. So if you're thinking of a project that has to do with food and beverage, for example, don't think that it comes naturally to them that the water that they use must be clean, because it doesn't. They're not used to clean water. They're used to water that is just barely safe for them. Lot of patience. They have to be patient with you, they have to be patient with their surroundings, they have to be patient with the entire process. Like I said, it's a long drawn process, and not so easy for them. For them, everything should be quick and fast, because they are basically on a hand-to-mouth kind of existence. They don't know where the next meal is going to come from the next day. So there's no sort of concept of long-term planning as far as they're concerned. They live for the day. They try and earn money for the day, and if they can borrow from the money, not even thinking how they're going to repay that. They're going to try and borrow as much as they can. Honesty. This is all these things are achieved by an exercise we call a Christian life program. So we have a particular module which teaches essentially spirituality of the entire exercise, and this is where we teach all of this. We teach first the concept of spirituality in the exercise, and then we teach them basic things like good community habits, health and cleanliness, orderliness, following rules and regulations. These are part and parcel of all values formations. Humility, pretty obvious. So we keep teaching them not to be proud. Okay. Almost part and parcel of any community activity is the community appeal, where you actually try and go to your universe of potential donors and try to get them to support the project in any way. Of course, the most obvious is the funding, but there are other ways of helping the project, like facilitating the processes. Perhaps if you're going to a new place and you need access and licenses, or you need permits, those are processes that need to be undergone. So perhaps some other people can help in that way by facilitating processes, not necessarily giving money, but using their influence in trying to push processes along. So this is where I said you will be continually restating your purposes and your mission and vision. So every time you go into a potential situation where you have donors or benefactors who might be able to help in the project, you're always restating your purpose, your mission, and your vision. That's why I said that it's not an empty concept that you start out with in your strategic plan. It's an actual on the process doing all the time, stating your mission and vision. When you go to your community, don't go out blindly and ask for a blanket of donations. You need to sell the dream to them. And usually the dream that you're trying to sell to them is a changed life, a new way of life for your potential beneficiaries. That's the noble thing to do. Don't get them to give for giving's sake. Tell them that you're selling to them the dream that these people are going to have a new life, a transformed life, a better life as a result of what your help is going to give. Don't underestimate the use of convincing speakers. There there are really good talents for people who can motivate people to do things, especially trying to get help. So I'm not only talking about the talent of talking to people. I'm also talking about the credibility of speakers. There is a difference between a politician asking for help and somebody who has been in the service asking for help. Do I need to elaborate on that? There is. Okay. Communicate in simple, concrete action items. Like I said, don't just ask for money. Don't just ask for materials. Transform the help you want in terms of concrete items. Like for example, a house will cost 125,000. A second, furniture will cost 20,000. Bathroom utilities or facilities will cost 15,000. Yeah. Work in terms of concrete things that they can imagine in their mind what they're giving. Don't just say just give money, just give these things. No? Just help whenever you can. It helps to be able to translate concrete items so that visually these people who are giving can sort of imagine what they are giving in terms of concrete things that they can help with this project. So it really helps when you have a menu of items by which you can help. So it's not only the absolute amount of the it's trying to visualize to them what their money is worth in terms of help to these beneficiaries. Focus on audience related to the beneficiaries. These are the most vulnerable, vulnerable to giving. These are the most predisposed people to giving, to help these particular beneficiaries. So in the example that I'm using, the beneficiaries of CT1, it's the neighbors. It's the ones who live on the perimeter wall where they used to stay. Because they're motivated, they know about these people, and while they want them out of the place, they also want to be justified in some way or another in the way that they're helping these people. The other audience that we had for this particular project was basically the parish. So the parish united. We united the parish into an endeavor that was a noble effort to help one of the blighted areas of the parish to be able to transform their lives. So you need to try, and if you need to focus on groups of people, this will be the best people to try to focus on before you go out into the world and try to convince other people. Again, as an example, probably if I stood in front of you and asked you to help these people, you probably would be quite blurred, no? Kasi you don't know these people. So it's probably a 50-50 chance for you to be motivated to try and help these people. So the other side of that is, if you know about these people, you knew people who live there, you're probably more predisposed to help these people. Avoid funfair costs. What I really mean by this is, it's culturally, traditionally, it was a practice na every time there's a fundraising project, pabingo tayo, or concert tayo, or whatever, beauty contest tayo. No? These are favorites of any community projects. For projects like this, where you're trying to help people uplift their lives, transform their lives, try to avoid these kinds of projects. Instead, try to sell the idea of transformation of lives. So, try to inject a little nobility in the exercise that you're doing. Don't think that any exercise will just fit this particular project. You know, those little negative people that we're talking about that can spoil your project. This will be the kinds of things that they will argue against you. They will use these kinds of activities to work against your project. Okay, so try to avoid them as much as you can. You'll find out that in our experience, we've actually gotten more people to donate larger amounts than what we would have earned. You know, these fun fair costs also have their own costs. So you might just end up losing in the exercise. You do all the efforts, do all the exercises, and probably you get little returns. So there's a danger also in using fun fair costs in trying to generate funds for your project. Personal contacts versus flyers. There's always a certain convincing power in being face-to-face with your potential benefactors instead of handing out flyers too. In our case, we've never really had any sort of success with flyers. The flyers are only good as good for when I try to itemize menu of items that they can actually like help with. The ones that I said that, for example, you can donate 1 square meter of land can cost 50 pesos, or one tile can cost 20 pesos. So if those are what actually we put in flyers, rather than asking them to try and bank on these flyers to help the fundraise for any particular project. Okay. Work with partners with pure intent. Okay, so avoid politicians as much as possible. They're the ones that usually spoil the project more often than nothing. And there will be people also with other intents in helping. So make sure that the partners that you work with have pure intent, have the highest level of integrity and credibility to be able to help you. Okay. Patience in the process. Very important. Because time is needed for transformation, innovation, and relationship building. All these things that we're trying to undo, unlearn bad habits, learn new techniques, learn new disciplines, all these transformations all take time. Innovations on activities, there's no such thing as one size fits all. All of these lessons that I'm telling you were lessons that I learned, but they may not actually be the solutions in other cases as well. So there's always a learning involved. And relationship building, I can't be friends with you just because of this one talk. I need to talk to you more. I need to be exposed to you more. I need to know your personality. I need to know your habits. I need to know what drives you. So relationship building is always a long process. So you need a lot of time, and of course you need a lot of patience in this process. dealing with excuses and appeals. You know, all throughout this exercise, you will have to deal with people trying to motivate themselves out of the project, or trying to get the easier way out. Mostly this has to deal with the beneficiary side. So for example, a person has an opportunity to earn something instead of doing his work assignment for the day. He will try and make an excuse, and sometimes, quite often, he will try to use some of his friendly promoters to try and convince the foreman to be able to release him from that work. So you have to learn how to deal with these excuses and appeals to try and get away from their work assignments. Avoid shortcuts to the process. I think this is fairly clear. There is a certain a gain. There's a certain gain to be able to go through the process. Our learnings is that you know, actually the better example is not all GK projects were successful. There are some, and a lot of the reason why some of those GK projects did not succeed is because they were hurried. They were rushed. There was a situation, for example, there's a GK project in Maseco. What happened there was actually the place burned down. So there was an immediate need to rebuild the place. Well, there were lots of benefactors, so there was a lot of help that came in. So the houses got built in record time. But what happened was actually, over time, the people were not so attached to their houses. So they had every opportunity to leave it. The place was not so cared for. And in effect, it did not become a model GK village. Because basically, it was a hurried project. It was a rush project. And there was no time to do the values formation, the hardship process. It was so rushed that, you know, the pouring out of the donations was so fast that they were able to build it right away. Because the appeal was good. The people had no houses, basically, so they had to rush everything. But, you know, it didn't last. The houses got built, but they didn't maintain it. The people did not value it that much because there was no investment. There was no emotional investment in that project. So pain is gain. Like I said, there's a value to having gone through hardship and going through it together. There is a certain value to going through struggle with someone. And that makes the relationship between you and that person that you go through the struggle with, that makes for a very special relationship. So value that. Doing versus allowing. You know, a lot of times you be tempted because there is an overflowing flow of help that you just want to turn over the money to them. You just want to get it over with, build the house. Don't let them participate anymore. Contract it out, do everything, and don't let them participate. So allow them to do some of the work. In fact, if you can, allow them to do more of the work than you probably could have done. So it's always important to try to inject a sense of dignity into the exercise. Careful with words, you know, that always undermine their stature. So if you treat them like partners, they will treat you like partners, and they will respect you more. So try and treat them as partners. You know, this is for partnering with them for a successful endeavor. But if you treat them like they're beneficiaries, they're consistently lower than you, you probably have a more difficult time getting things done. The important thing is be a reference for future projects. Like I said, a successful project is a more convincing tool if you want to implement future projects. If you do a good project, you can showcase it. You can showcase that project and use that as your shining example of a transformed life. So try and be a reference for future projects because it's going to make your work easier in the future. Okay, moving forward. Cultivate a lab mentality. What does this mean? What do you do in a lab? In a lab, you experiment, you do things. And oftentimes, probably you fail. So, if you cultivate a lab mentality, eventually, if you keep on doing things, you will find something that succeeds. So, if you cultivate a lab mentality, you keep on repeating and learning from your mistakes. Eventually, you get to do a correct one. And this is probably the best place to do it, rather than, because as long as your intentions are pure, there's no consequence in the exercise. So, there's a difference between successful and unsuccessful things, and you'll probably learn this in a lot of motivational videos. Successful people have been very, very painful failures in the past. They've become successful because they have failed a lot of times in the past. So you see that a lot in motivational videos. The successful people are not successful, ever successful in their first try. They're successful because they keep on trying new things. So apply that, try and apply that whenever you're thinking of your own project. Learn from mistakes. So this is similar to the first one. It's not a matter of experimenting all the time. You should be able to have learnings from the experimentations. So learn from your mistakes. Teach rather than give people. So that old phrase, if you teach somebody to fish, he will have food for a lifetime rather than giving him fish. So, teach him tricks that will enable him to succeed by his own ability. Assessing job skills and inclinations. After you've done with your project, the next probable thing that you need to do is be able to give them livelihood. In our particular case, we displaced them. So we moved them away, far away actually from their original place of work. So we needed to do a lot of livelihood activities. And the way we do that is assessing their job skills and inclinations. So it's a work in progress, but we're continually doing this because we want this project to be a reference for future projects. That's basically it. We want them to succeed, and they've been succeeding. They've actually been a good example all the time for a lot of other housing projects. But basically, we're trying to persevere in this endeavor because we're implementing other housing projects as well, and we want to use these projects as a good reference for future projects. Assessing attitudes and changes in life. So always assess people's attitudes and make sure that they are always constantly in that process of being able to transform their lives. So continually deal with them, assess their attitudes, and see if they have already unlearned the bad habits and they have changed their mindsets in the way they live. The other thing that you can try and do is try to look for in the entrepreneurial spirit in the community. Because what you want to do is actually allow them to help themselves. So you want to build up an entrepreneur within the community. That's often the most difficult thing to do because a lot of ways these people have just been used to handouts and employment. So you want them to be able to be entrepreneurial in nature, and that's like what you're doing. You're going through this course, spending 4 years trying to learn how to be a good entrepreneur, and you know how difficult that's going to be. Probably a lot of you who's going to graduate this year are also going to take employment rather than be an entrepreneur. So this is something that you want them to learn because it's pretty late for them to have a 4-year course na. So in this day and age, they're probably middle-aged already or probably near their maturing age. And you don't want them going to a 4-year course again on entrepreneurship. So try and nurture entrepreneurial spirit within the community so that your work will become easier. The livelihood activities will become easier to implement because they are the ones who are going to champion this particular exercise. So try and nurture. Whenever you can spot entrepreneurial spirit within the community, try and nurture them. That's good. So I go to the conclusion of we really don't know whether you're going to be successful in your particular endeavor. Who knows? But the good that you will definitely do for them is you will give them hope. No matter how successful or unsuccessful you're going to be, the fact that you're going to spend time with them, talking to them, trying to implement projects for them, is a lot of help already for them. Perhaps that's probably the greatest gift that you can give to any community. Give them hope. And I'd like to try and leave you with this little song that